Good morning, class. I hope you are all having a peaceful asynchronous day. Remember that although we are not in class, this is still a working day. And so our focus for your time independently is to consider the importance of summary writing. You are all entering into fields that require subject matter experts, and part of your responsibilities as an expert in that field will be able to relay key information. Whoop, there's Mr. Weasley. Scoot, scoot, scoot. To relay key information to whoever is seeking it from you. So you're almost a little bit of a container of knowledge. Because this is your first year in undergraduate level work, you're not technically an expert, but we will continue to build the skills. And summary writing is a good first step for newly subject matter experts because it relies on you to review work of experts that are already within a field and to be able to display that you can comprehend the current discourse that is out there to you all and how to relay that information again to someone else. So our objectives for this video are to learn the elements of summary paragraphs, to understand one way how to organize and present the information, and then identify elements within a text that helps readers understand what is being summarized. I did provide a sample outline for a summary section. You won't always need to have in-depth summaries when you are relaying information, but because this could be your first time, this is the most detailed way to compose it. So you see that there's 3 steps. Each step can be broken down into a few new elements, and we will go over them in the next slide. The first step in any summary is to introduce what is being summarized. It may not always be clear. In annotated bibliography, such as what we're working on, you'll have a citation up at the top, so it would make sense that what follows would be summarizing what's above there. But that won't always be the case. So the first step for each summary element is to let the audience know who the author of the text is, the title of the text, and their overall main purpose for writing. And you'd want to have that in one complete sentence. And so we have a sample here. In the article, Youth Art Month and Advocating for Art, Heidi O'Hanley writes that due to the lack of art classes after elementary school, teachers should advocate for students to have access to art programs throughout their entire academic career. It's short and sweet and to the point, and usually it's that first line that you would integrate into essays if you're incorporating research. The next step is to, actually we're still on step 1. There are some things to consider from an MLA perspective. Articles, when you're introducing them to your audience, should be placed in quotation marks. It means you're taking like a section of something smaller and presenting it, just kind of like you do with quotes, a smaller section of someone's statement. If it's a book, magazine, or film, we traditionally put those in italics. It lets your audience know that we are discussing an entirety of something. All of our sources for this assignment are articles, so when you are presenting the titles, they should be in quotation marks. The next step is to survey the text. So we're kind of drawing back from the SQ3R model where we know that there's a lot of contextual clues that impact the type of information that's going to be presented. Some of the elements that you could provide for your audience in your annotated bibliography is who's the audience for this article. So who would be the traditional reader? When was it published? Where was it published? What was the intent of the article? Like, was it to convince people to do something, or was it just informational? That kind of leads to the genre of the text. You would want to have at least 2 to 3 elements in your survey stage so that your audience, who may not have ever read any of the articles, will have a little bit of an understanding of what kind of value this article might have. Then you start to break into actually sharing how the author constructs the work. So if you introduced with a main idea or kind of a purpose to the text, how do you know that's the main idea? Usually we can determine that by breaking down, what was actually presented in the article, chunking it out, so to speak. And so for each of the articles that you are summarizing, there should be at least 2 to 4 key details that are being presented. I would suggest really looking at the headers in some of the articles, because the headers show a clear organizational structure that the audience or that the author was using, and that usually means that the key details have been isolated already for you, and you just have to be able to identify them and then relay them to your audience. Another helpful strategy when you're doing summary writing and keeping in mind that your audience probably hasn't read the article, it does help to use some level of transitional, like sequential phrases such as first, second, third, additionally, moreover, lastly. Those will help your readers navigate between each key detail as you are presenting them. And then this is some words of wisdom in order how to identify the key details. I've kind of already touched on that. But also what I didn't mention before is look at the paragraph structures. Usually information is chunked out into paragraphs. And does the author themselves use transitional phrases to help you navigate the information? And then lastly, to help your readers identify that a summary is coming to an end, you'd want to consider looking at how the author concludes their work. If it's an academic text, they usually have a conclusion towards the end that'll probably restate their main idea and the elements they composed, but sometimes they have a final plea or an argument that really shows the purpose of the text, and you'd also want to honor that within your own summary section. If it is a general article, it's meant for general readers, not really academic, they might not have a concluding element. And so in that case, you could just restate their overall main idea to reinforce the purpose of the article. Another few things to keep in mind is that summaries are not new content. Everything that is found in a summary should be an accurate reflection of what you're seeing in the article. And in that case, it helps to use attributive tags throughout the paragraph to remind your readers that what you're presenting is not your authentic work, but something that you are retelling for one reason or another. And so it helps to use what are known as attributive tags. It's where you have a noun and a verb paired together. The noun should relate back to the author in some way. We traditionally, again, use their last names in order to refer back to them. And then you would have verbs that kind of show and honor the genre of the text. And so in the sample above, you will see that there are some highlighted sections, and those are the attributive tags that are utilized throughout this sample summary to reinforce the fact that you are summarizing someone else's work and not generating new content. And here is a sample of various attributive tags that you could use. You would want to display your writing proficiency by being very divergent in the type of verbs you attribute back to each of the sources and the authors and what their purpose was within the text. Seeing the purpose and the tone really goes a long way in what verbs you would want to choose, and you'd want to make sure that you are honoring the mode of the text in which you have received it. So for example, you wouldn't necessarily use the verb says because that implies dialogue, and if we are summarizing written texts, we didn't hear it. So you'd also want to make sure that whatever verb you attribute back to the authors is an accurate reflection of the type of source and their message. And there's my work cited, just pretty much using and citing sources. Thank you for watching the video. I will be around throughout the day, so if you do have any questions, just email me. I also have a booking page that will be available for you to set times with me throughout the day if you would like to schedule a virtual appointment to kind of be, work together on certain elements. Otherwise, I will see you all on Monday. Have a happy and productive asynchronous day.